Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. It's so good of you to join me here today. Now today I got quite a little treat for y'all, and this comes in the form of JRE, the one and only Joe Rogan, the master, the king of podcasting. I've been watching Joe Rogan forever. I haven't been as listening or watching against him as recently, simply because once he moved to Spotify, he didn't show up as much anymore in my feeds and whatnot. But what did start showing up a lot is Joe Rogan clips all across YouTube Shorts. For anybody who's spent even 5 minutes on YouTube Shorts knows that Joe Rogan is probably the most clipped show or the most clipped thing on YouTube, at least from my perception, even though I don't listen to a lot of GRE or as much as I used to. I always found Joe Rogan really, really interesting even before he became super famous, because watching him in mid to early 2000s, I remember him being on all these comedy shows and doing UFC and stuff like that. And then he comes out with podcasting, and his podcast was really popular for ever. And it was always interesting because he would just propose these crazy, wild, and wacky theories during his shows, and he would just talk about it, and you'd be like, wow, this is not what they teach me at school at all, and nobody ever talks to you like that. So he engaged you in an interesting way by proposing these alternatives to what you would think of the world, which is kind of what the main appeal of it is you get a different opinion than what you see in the mainstream. Which is kind of funny because now Joe Rogan is the mainstream. Anyway, without further ado, I found these 3 clips that I thought were absolutely interesting while I was browsing YouTube Shorts, and I just wanted to share them with you because this to me is the Joe Rogan staples. Because if you know anything, Joe Rogan talks about mind-altering substances, diet, and exercise. And that's the base. It's the base is all of that, plus maybe elk meat or something in between. So, and saunas. I keep forgetting the saunas. So Joe Rogan is he's gotten to that stage where it's if you mention those 5 things, people know you're talking about Rogan. So anyway, let's watch it.
Stoned ape theory. Now, it's not a theory, it's a hypothesis. And it speaks to a mystery. We have a suddenly doubling of the human brain. The brain cavity doubled in size in about 2 million years. There's no explanation for this currently. Now think of this. Our primate ancestors are going across the savannah. The most significant fleshy mushroom going out of poop in Africa is Psilocybe cubensis. You're hungry, you're with your clan, they ingest these mushrooms as
But wait, I love that picture.
a clan.
Whoever drew this is creative AF.
Massive input for anyone who's eaten these mushrooms. Huge amounts of data is coming in. Fractal patterns.
I also like how he uses the word data as if they just picked up a flash drive off the ground and just injected it straight into their brain.
Geometrical, landscapes occur. You have greater courage. We know now that it's been clinically proven, psilocybin allows you to reset and have different neurological pathways to respond to fear, overcoming the fear of conditioned response, potentially PTSD, and there's a lot of research on this currently.
And what? Yeah, I like that clip because again, it just offers you a different perspective. Because let's just be honest, anybody in any community that tells you that they have 100% of all the answers and something is absolutely true without any questioning, that's the first sign of it's probably not true. Because well, not that it's not true, but it's worth questioning. And that's the thesis of Joe Rogan's show. So let's just question everything, and once in a while throw out some wild dietary advice, which I appreciate, because again, that theory right there, I mean, it's as good of an explanation for how things happen or how they transpired 100,000 years ago as any. And who knows, maybe it's true. I wasn't there, you weren't there, nobody was there. And we have very few bits and pieces of information far in between to explain what happened anyway. So your guess is as good as mine. So if I throw out a theory and I provide some data, so why not? Or I guess how you said it was hypothesis. If I throw out a hypothesis, you can say, okay, that's bull, that's not true, that's whatever. But the thing is, you can't throw out the hypothesis in its entirety, because guess what? It could be true, but nobody can give us an answer with 100% certainty anyway. Not that that would ever happen. I'm not saying that don't believe mainstream ideas. I'm just saying hey, anybody that tells you that this idea is 100% true and this idea is 100% false, It's full of it. Like everything's on a gradient, and some things might be true more than others, and we don't honestly know, which is why it's interesting to question and think and pose these kinds of ideas and to talk to one another and discuss these things in detail.
What is going on with eating? So if you have one meal, and say this meal comprises 2,000 calories or whatever, and you have this meal at 6 p.m. and you fast for 24 hours until you eat again at 6 p.m. If you have this one meal a day, why is it better to do that than to have, say, smaller meals of like 500 calories multiple times per day, little snacks?
Well, because going back 6 million years back, we're in the trees and then in the savannah, our bodies were designed, or evolved to respond to adversity. And we've removed that from our lives because it feels good. But we need adversity to be resilient and to fight disease. So what I'm saying is that period of hunger, and it's not even hunger these days. I don't even feel it. I feel great if I don't eat.
That's a very interesting take. So just like, hey, like, you ever get bored and you want to feel good about yourself? Just go out there and just randomly start climbing trees, rocks, and mountains, and just don't eat while you're doing it. I don't know if that's the correct message, but you can interpret that many different ways. Honestly, my takeaway is like just eat less and exercise more and try to balance out like your caloric intake, and you'll probably be fine. Whether or not like what people did 6 million years ago is relevant to this conversation, I don't know. It's simply because like who knows what people were actually eating 6 million years ago. I mean, that's a awfully long time, and we might not have like a true record. Because again, like if you can say for sure, like that's actually a very important point given like the previous clip. So if we know what people were eating 6 million years ago, but then we're hypothesizing that people were eating like mushrooms in Africa, then like, okay, so we know what they were eating 6 million years ago, but we don't know what they were eating 100,000 years ago. It's kind of weird, kind of a contradiction.
One of the arguments often used to say there aren't any civilizations out there.
Oh yeah, and aliens. By the way, this is like the most classic staple Joe Rogan thing, which by the way I agree with. I love talking about aliens and all this other stuff on this channel. Just look at my previous videos.
In the galaxy. It's called the Fermi paradox. Because if you imagine a civilization that's 1 million years ahead of us, they should have written their presence across the sky by now. You should see them. If we survive 1 million years into the future, actually even a few thousand, you'll see us. We will be exploring the galaxy. We will have spacecraft that are going to other stars. We will be doing it. So our signature will become visible, I'm sure.
Like if there is a civilization that's 1 million times more advanced than us, why would they let us know? Uncontacted tribes. North Sentinel Island, which is a really unusual place, and as well as we know, there's only about 39 of them left. We're not supposed to contact them. Like people are not supposed. We're supposed to like leave them alone.
Anyway, so there we have it. Boy, this is
Vladimir Putin is ripping off popular U.S.
This we might watch this one another day. Anyway, so there you have it. 3 interesting JRE clips that are must watch for for your own personal entertainment and for an introduction to the Joe Rogan experience. But it's kind of interesting because I like thinking about this stuff. Not necessarily that I believe everything that's said. You got to be questioning and very critical of the things that people put forward. But it's kind of interesting, especially that last clip about the Fermi paradox. I honestly have my own personal theory on why the Fermi paradox is what it is potentially there are aliens, but here's the thing. You have one of two options when you encounter a different civilization. You either isolate them, such as the case of what Joe Rogan said about the uncontacted tribes in the Indian Ocean, or you engage with them. Now, history says that if you engage, basically what happened, in the age of exploration and what happened with the natives here in this continent, that could end up being very rough for the people of the continent that end up getting colonized, which the aliens, and said you'd think, hey, they're sufficiently advanced, and they have all this technology, and they probably have an inexhaustible source of energy. Like, one is like, why would they talk to us? Like, they have nothing to gain. If anything, they just probably observe us from a distance and be like, cool, like check out this place. And then probably like put guard barriers and be like, do not go to this planet unless authorized. You know, could be like advanced hierarchy of administration up within like the galactic order. Who knows? And then just be like, yeah, like if they evolve to that point where they can talk to us and communicate with us freely, then we'll invite them and we'll talk to them. And until that point, just leave them alone, kind of like what we did with some of these uncontacted tribes in both the Amazons and Indian Ocean. And anyway, like, but basically on this topic is like I can talk about the Fermi paradox for years and decades and make all kinds of like conclusions and theses and hypotheses into why I believe it is what it is. But anyway, we've seen the 3 Joe Rogan clips, and they are thought-provoking, aren't they? It's just always interesting to watch Joe Rogan and to discuss this stuff because, like, Joe Rogan just, again, like, he just provides interesting ideas, and you can believe it or you cannot believe it, but listening to these ideas, regardless, is very interesting and very thought-provoking. So, anyway, if you made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it. Thank you for stopping by. Hope you like the clips. Hope you like the engagement, the excitement. Let me know if you'd like me to put more clips out there like this and then just discuss it in the future. Thank you for stopping by. Talk to you later.